saw you smile. Now everywhere you go, my eyes follow close, and I'm just waiting for the time to be right to tell you how I've loved you for a while. Oh, my heart is going wild. You wear me down like when the sea meets earth. I fade away just like the rocks have worn. Don't you see what you do to me? Dyer's band. Radiant's band. Dyer's band.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. My name's Toffees, and I'm joined, as always, by my intrepid co-caster, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. It's time to close out the regular season tonight, guys. As we said before, this is a matchup between the UCLA Bruins and the University of Minnesota Dota team. And it will be a lot of fun because the team that wins this game advances to the playoffs. The team that loses is in a very tough position. If it's Minnesota, they're pretty much out of the tournament. If it's the Bruins and they have a long, difficult wild card playoff, or I should say count off in terms of points, and there's a lot of risk associated with whether or not they advance. So they don't want to allow that to happen, and Minnesota definitely wants to win. They did it, and they took the last game. We'll be able to take this one. Before we go into the details, I'm sorry, I want to give a real quick shout out to our sponsors just to make sure that everybody knows who's putting on this great tournament. And that is Twitch, who is the best streaming provider in the world, and Asus Republic of Gamers, who not only make the best PCs, laptops, and monitors, but also they're paying for the prize pool, $15,000 in scholarship funds. They're paying for the travel to DreamHack for a LAN final for all the players. And now they're giving away a free laptop and monitors on the cstarleague.com website. You have a chance to win those, so go check them out. What were you going to say, Gorgon?
I'm just going to say I'm surprised to see Minnesota grabbing Invoker again. It was kind of a non-issue pick last game.
Yeah.
I get the impression that maybe this is like I've been spamming this hero for so long because he was really broken player that maybe he just they feel that all their strategies are based around it. So even if they do win this game and then the following game,
wait, was it
maybe that's an implication that they need to
was it Invoker on UCLA last time?
Was he?
Invoker was Radiant mid, right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, I'm with you. I'm following now. It's
usually I'm the one that makes that mistake, so I had to stop and check myself and be like,
I appreciate it. It's been a long day.
I understand that.
That's so much better. If UCLA picked that Invoker again, I would have been really shocked, to be quite honest.
Shocked, absolutely. Now Enchantress goes through again, and Minnesota picks it up. Says we played it well. We're going to play it again. UCLA has to find an answer to that. Last time they could not find it. They're hoping TA will work out for them. So basically what we're seeing from Minnesota and UCLA is they swapped their first picks this time around, essentially. TA did come out fourth last time. That said, they did change up where they were in terms of their positioning. Jakiro gets picked up as well for the Bruins. They're looking for more zone and control. Is that to stop the Enchantress? Like, what is the Jakiro for here?
Push, I assume.
Okay.
In fact, I've been seeing sometimes some mid Jakiros coming out lately, like experimental mid Jakiros, sort of like how we used to have off lane Jakiros coming from like old Team Empire or whatever. I cannot wrap my head around why UCLA are so afraid of the Void here. Why they would prefer to let the Enchantress go through again than let the Void
Well,
go
it's
through.
possible that Minnesota has a good Void player that they know about. Void is proving very effective, not as a damage output, but as a control device. And if you're worried about the Enchantress, Impetus with a Void on your team can be incredibly brutal. So I'm curious, maybe that's just something
Yeah.
that they were worried about.
But you don't normally see the two together because at this level play, especially, usually the Void is going to be your offlaner, and Enchantress would normally be your offlaner. So
Right.
they're usually interchanged. But more importantly, if you didn't ban the Void, then you could have banned the Enchantress, but we'll see if UCLA draft the Enchantress or draft to kill the Enchantress this time. But last time they didn't have burst damage, and that's how you deal with Enchantress, right? You
Right.
get lots of burst.
And somebody who
specifically
can get to her, right? Because the problem is when she kites you, when she's at distance, what can you really do? So I do look forward to look for them to have somebody to try and close that gap out. They're thinking long and hard about who they don't want to see here. The Venge banned out. I like that choice. Venge with Enchantress was very, very strong as we saw. And I'm really curious what UCLA does, because you said Jakiro is experimental, and I think that there's no experimentalism that we're going to see in this game when UCLA's run is on the line. That said, though, this would be the time to pull out a pocket strategy that you've been practicing if you are UCLA. You need to get this win. UCLA, and I will repeat this again, needs to win this game. 100%. Minnesota does too, but they can go to the third game and try again. UCLA, if they lose this, they are in a position that you never want to be in. The equivalency, here it is, Gorgon. The equivalency to UCLA losing this game is what you see in a boxing match or an MMA fight when you let it go to the judges, right? You have sort of a factor of unknowing because of the way that the season has broken down and teams have sort of forfeited and transitioned and things. They're going to the tape, and they don't want to go to the tape. They want to win this outright. So there's a big onus on them right now.
I like the Spectre pick here.
Yeah.
So
Minnesota's drafting like really well today.
Yeah, they are just getting popular heroes. Basically, is what they're doing.
Fair point.
They're just grabbing what are the 5 most popular heroes that I can grab right now. But in this particular case, they seem to be synergizing pretty well. I do like the gyrocopter into Enchantress. You do have, not only later in the game will you be able to use the flat cannon to hit Enchantress without actually attacking her, but you also have the rocket barrage to deal damage to her.
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Earthshaker and Jakiro together should be able to stun from a pretty decent range as well. So UCLA have a much better kill lane into this Enchantress than they did last time, and that could be a big step in the right direction.
And it is worth noting that UCLA is back to their regular team. They don't have Salif Eater standing in for them. ESCY has returned, so he will be taking that position, presumably as the carry. I'm pretty sure that Leaf Eater is coordinator SAS first position sub for the Bruins. So
yes.
That
makes sense, but we have seen him play. It's not like he never
I think
plays.
he's interchangeable. He's a good player, but he really just prefers sort of sitting in the jungle or at the Ancients and not really taking the fight to his opponent, which he had to do in the last game. It didn't work out for him. That was sarcasm. He doesn't actually prefer that. But ESCY is going to be in there to prove that he is the man for this position. It should be interesting to see. Darkseer is going to get picked up, presumably for the off lane. What do you think of UCLA's lineup right now?
I like it, like in terms of synergy. I just don't necessarily like it in terms of dealing with Minnesota.
I like it. I don't like it.
Well, the synergy is amazing for their team, right?
Like,
they've got Vacuum,
but I want to take Going to Mom.
Right. But part of the issue that they are going to run into is that they don't really have a response for the Spectre.
Yeah.
Right. They have great team fight, but Spectre doesn't care if you have great team fight because she's only going to come in if the fight is going to go her team's way anyway. Right. And they don't have fantastic rotation. Right. Now, neither Jakiro nor Earthshaker through the early game is just a guaranteed kill on the Spectre. Right. So Spectre should have a pretty decent early game and come into this fully formed by the time any real combat happens to her. Yeah. But you do have Vacuum into Call Down, into Ice Path, into Macropyre, into Psyblades, into Echo Slam, into Fissure.
Right.
That's like a fractal of death that just keeps going. So if they get one good Vacuum, the fight is over.
Right. I think UCLA's got great synergy, and if they execute well, they're golden. The problem I have is that Minnesota individually feels like they have a very strong team with players playing these heroes that we know that they know how to play. So the order, the onus is on UCLA, and really they've drafted themselves into that to say, listen, we have to execute or we go home. And I'll be honest with you, Gorgon, if I'm in a position where it's do or die, where it's win or go home, I want to pick a lineup that I win or lose on my skill, my execution, my team's readiness for this game. And I think UCLA is throwing the gauntlet down, saying we're going to do that. Let's do some quick introductions here as we get this game underway. For the Dire side, UCLA, TMX is going to be on the Darkseer, Servant Saber on the TA, Valier is going to be on the Gyrocopter, Dumb Pubs will be on the Earth, the Earth Shaker, and ESCY will be on the Jakiro.
All right, and here for the Radiant side, we've got somebody playing the Invoker and somebody else haunting around on the Specters. Slam and Bam and Bootylicious is going to be saving on the Oracle. The crazy Honey Badger is going to be doing that voodoo he do so well on the Witch Doctor. And finally, Tab Borland the Great will be reprising his role on the Enchantress.
And I do believe that UCLA changed his name in their chat from Tamerlan the Great to Tamerlan the Asshole in the last match. Based on his impetus range, we'll see if he's able to do the same thing this time around. Dumb Pubs is going to come forward with the Earthshaker. What do you see? The move on
up top, yeah.
There's the lock, but it's on the wrong side. Oh, Dumb Pubs.
That was a kill.
That was
they just gave a kill up.
Wow.
That's a bummer.
Tamerlan the Great will fill the butt pucker, but manages to survive.
Now, that hurts a lot because she's probably not going to come out very much farther than she just was at any point in time. Wow, really?
Again?
Never mind, I lied. She's really far forward. She is going to get locked on the wrong side.
Nature's attendance.
And if
she goes a long way.
Gyrocopter were here,
she feels good about
that
the
would be a kill.
Yeah, Gyro didn't come down. Miscommunication. UCLA, a team dependent on execution, doesn't do it. Tamerlan goes back to lane and right back to full health. So.
And the really painful thing about that is he only got like one last hit during that entire time. Yeah. So he didn't even get anything out of the time because he wasn't getting his last hits.
Well, Valier, I sincerely hope that one hit was worth it. And I think what probably happened is Valier was in the same position you were, right? He saw Dumb Pubs and ESCY going forward. He thought to himself, there's no freaking way Enchantress will be as far forward after she almost died last time. And didn't fall back or didn't make his move as well, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. I can't say I blame him after the first attempt. It is what it is. So that's just look at the last hit tonight chart. It's up for you guys to keep an eye on in this match. Oh, Tamerlan is going to go head-to-head here with TA for just a second, and ESCY will show himself and make sure that TA doesn't take too much more harass. Down the bottom lane, TMX is really causing trouble for this Spectre.
Not really. I mean, it's so. The Spectre occasionally has to deal with the Ion Shell, but at level 1, it just allows the Spectre to control lane equilibrium. So until that gets to like level 3, Ion Shell, the Spectre is having time of her life. She's beating the Gyrocopter, and Gyrocopter is free farm. So, things are going okay here for UMN.
All right. Now we do.
Yeah, the Enchantress is still level 1 as well. She just hit level 2.
UMN. Why does UMN have to be UMN? Why can't they be a U of M as well? Why does Michigan get the rights to U of M? Did you ever wonder that? I do. Because University of Minnesota.
Does it keep you up at night, Toffees?
No, not really. At the end of the day, I guess I could care less. Now we see Dumb Pubs. Looks like he's going to head up towards the top lane. Tamerlan does have to be careful here, so she'll fall back and just make sure that she doesn't get herself caught in trouble. Meanwhile, Invoker taking some serious damage on the mid position. Servant Saver having a much better game this time around as he's playing this mid instead of the Spirit Breaker that he had last time. UCLA seems like they had to make a lot of adjustments without ESCY here. A lot of these guys are playing in different positions than they did last time around.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was forced adjustments or if they were trying to match up against the Viper potential, like they were trying to double bluff the Viper pick. But either way, whatever ended up happening to their draft last time did not work. So I'm glad to see their laning phase doing better this time.
Dumb Pubs is going to come forward. This is a very far forward Invoker, so a great time for the Earthshaker to be here. It looks like he's getting ready to make his move. He's holding off for just a second. And why isn't he moving here? There he goes. Through the trees. Wants to make a forward momentum. Servant Saber makes his move. Catches Invoker far from home. Dumb Pubs will go for the body block. Manages to get it. They've got the vision. No, they don't. Sorry, that was a Radiant Ward. So off he goes.
Yeah. He dropped it just to make sure that there was no vision. And
smart.
I like this 1-1-1 build. This is the sort of build that you would see before the Alacrity nerf on 6.86E. Right, so it does allow for a lot more versatility in lane, and it did also save this Invoker because he could go into the Ghost Walk. Now, it does minimize his potential to be effective in fights as fast in the mid game, and it is a build that you'll usually want to end up getting a Midas into this style build, especially if you do end up prioritizing Exhort in the end. But it just makes your laning potential much higher, even though your mid game potential takes a little bit longer to come online.
I gotcha. All right, let's go to the top lane where Villiers, let's check in on the last hits here. He's 28-12, having a pretty good laning phase, but unfortunately for him, not as good as Spectre, who is at a whopping 32-8, and moving fast. Phase boots up, 800 gold in the bank. Is that something that you need to be worried about right now as UCLA? Or how worried do you need to be, I guess, is a better question.
Depends on how fast they plan on going down here and ganking her. If they come down before she hits 6, which is like 45 seconds from now, they should be okay. If they can get the gank, that is. If they don't get it before 6, I don't think that they're going to be able to kill the Spectre until she wants to fight. In the mid...
Oh, in the mid, they make a go. They're going to go on Servant Saber. He is isolated, but Bammon is low. It will go first blood. Boomin going to go. He ends up dying, so it's a 1-for-1, but the first blood definitely gives the advantage on that kill to University of Minnesota. Invoker tries to finish the job. He does. Nice playing the margins there. Gets the kill on Jakiro, and they go 2-for-1. So, yes, first blood went to UCLA, I guess, but double makes it better.
The Oracle got the first blood.
Oh,
actually.
so that's super great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Oracle died second. So yeah, things are going great for you.
Yeah, and Spectre not interrupted before he's level 6, so that goes great for them as well. Meanwhile, up on the top, Tamberlane is going to get pushed backwards by Valier and the dumb pubs, but they've got to back off and take themselves some tower damage. So obviously,
I can't believe that they didn't manage to gank this Enchantress early on. Like they had the perfect setup twice. They just tripped over their own shoelaces. It's gotta hurt so much because now she's gonna get to the point where she's unkillable again, like she was last game. They really need to make sure that they're keeping either this Enchantress or this Spectre, ideally both, from getting huge. And the Darkseer Ion Shell is not enough to deter the Spectre down bottom. And up top, they're gonna try to kill the Enchantress, but the heals are just too much. She's gonna turn around and get a kill easy.
Wow. Well, Valier caught out and killed. It happened on the Viper. It's happening on the Gyrocopter. Unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, Invoker is going to get caught by Jakiro. Servant Saber comes forward. They don't really have enough damage here, I don't think, to take care of the job. And,
did you see him?
No.
Like literally stop to choose what he wanted to invoke for a second.
Right.
And then TA looked like she got confused and just stopped attacking him for a moment as well. They all had a head scratch moment. What is going on here?
What are you gonna do? Don't you have a they're all waiting for the Ghost Walk to proc, and he didn't go down that way. So TMX got very low. Fortunately for him, Invoker had been forced to get up the ice wall for escape, so the Sunstrike was not available to try and finish off the Darkseer down there on the bottom lane. And let's check in on the top. Overall farm, by the way, 43-12 here for the Gyrocopters. Keeping a relative pace with the Spectre. The problem is Gyrocopter has gone down in the one-on-one against that Enchantress. Enchantress is 19-1, but she's got the kills, and she's surviving the gank. So you've usually hoped to put that off lane in sort of a levels but no farm position, but Tamerlane's not allowing that to happen. Between the new creep camp, between the way he's playing it, he's as relevant as anybody else is in this match.
Yeah, he's doing about as well as the Darkseers in terms of net worth. So it's not like he's just rolling out of control for an offlaner, but Enchantress has much higher general impact with farm than a Darkseer does anyway. And Darkseer is one of these heroes that you usually have pick up team items. He doesn't necessarily play usually as a core. He plays as a semi-core. And he gets a lot of team collapse based items to help everybody. Right. Whereas the Enchantress can play as a full on core. She can carry as hard as some safe lane carries can, right? So that's a problem if she gets out of control.
This Invoker loves Ice Wall more than any other Invoker I've met in my life.
It's a pretty good spell
It is
for
a good
this
spell.
kind of control.
I just feel like I rarely see it used as much as it has been so far in this game. Now he's got to be careful as we see Jakiro come forward. He dodged the ice pass, so he'll be able to stay in lane here a little bit longer. Up on top, they've got Crazy Honey Badger now with Tamberlin as they tried to get a gank. I don't know if you saw it. They tried to make a rotation here to pick off Valier, but they were unable to do it as he fell back behind the tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Oracle, one of those heroes that I think a lot of people still don't really fully get, is helping Spectre push pretty hard.
I don't get what's so hard about the hero, right? He does damage, except if you wait too long, in which case the damage turns into health. He's got a purge, but that's also, he has the ability to stop people from attacking and also stop them from taking magic damage, but not physical damage, which can be applied to both enemies and allies. And then his ultimate is very easy. He stops all healing and all damage, but then he doubles the healing over that period of time after a set pre-hit. I don't see what's so complicated.
No, it makes perfect sense. It actually sounds sort of like an invoker's invoking pattern, but instead you cast it on other people.
Yeah. Also, I do want to point out one of the reasons that this invoker is relying so heavily on the ice wall that might not be obvious is that it removes refraction charges.
Oh,
it does damage over time.
Gyro gets a kill up, or Spectre got the kill with his haunt up top. Now he wants to make a chase on ESCY. They'll go behind the tower and get away, but that was a big kill for them to slow down the gyrocopter even more. That knocks him down to third in terms of net worth. Meanwhile, TA in the mid position gets a kill on University of Minnesota's Invoker, a much needed pickoff, and she will fall backwards. So a 1-for-1 across the map, but perhaps a little more valuable, I think, for UCLA at this point.
Yeah, much more valuable for. Well, wait, for UCLA, you think that getting the Spectre kills is
that's
not?
Fair. I just think Invoker. I think that Invoker had the potential to also become a pretty big problem here, and they need to get.
He did get his Midas before he died though, and used it like 60 seconds before he died. So this isn't. If they'd gotten him while he had unreliable gold, that would have been great. But he didn't really lose very much out of that. He might have lost like 150 gold.
Fair
big
enough.
whoop. He's got the Midas to catch up that level.
Well, the Golden Gophers continue their march forward as they try to solidify their position in the race for DreamHack. Guys, remember, the winner of this game gets a berth in playoffs and has a chance to go to DreamHack, all expenses paid, to play in the LAN final. Nice job going refraction, dodges the Sunstrike, attack with the turnaround, good ice path, Invoker runs back against the ice wall, but it may not be enough. It is enough, as he will have the backup of his friends. A little love from Oracle, make sure that he stays alive.
The slow is a big deal there, but also, like I had said before, if the TA decides to engage in the ice wall, her refraction charges will be stripped in a matter of seconds.
We go back top where Valier is under attack. The bounce is good. The impetus is long. Can they finish the job? Maledict is on him. It should kill him. It does. Another big kill.
This gyrocopter is becoming a liability, to be quite honest. He doesn't have an item up yet at 12 minutes, and he did have free farm for a good chunk of, for like 4 or 5 of those minutes. We're not getting anything out of the Earthshaker or Jakiro now either, because their presence in the top lane is not protecting the gyrocopter's farm, and they're not going out and getting kills in the other lanes. So the whole theory of this draft seems to be collapsing into a very unfortunate waveform before our eyes.
That is absolutely a good way to put it. It's about 1,500 gold experience and 2,000 experience lead for the guys of University of Minnesota. UCLA trying to get back into this thing. Invoker is going to find the Templar Assassin, both playing the invisibility game here, and Invoker will just escort her back to lane and try to make a move, do some harass when he knows he's in a safe position, pulls out those Forged Spirits, and will now back up. Be a little careful here. It's, so you're UCLA. You're staring at a position where you're sort of falling behind, but the game's not out of hand. It's still completely controllable. What do you do to try and rein this back in? Do you shift lineups? Do you just have a pep talk with the team? Do you smoke and rotate? What are you looking at?
Buy time for TA to get Desolator and then engage as 4 is really what they have to do. And they have to get that fast. So they have to open up enough space for TA. She's not going to be able to get the Desolator before the Sacred Relic comes out. There's just no way. Okay, so that plan doesn't work because she went for Midas. So new plan is apply pressure as 3 or 4 onto the Spectre and force rotations, and just Gyrocopter has to play smart. Because Enchantress will probably just sit up here and wait for an opportunity to kill the Gyrocopter. So he needs to make sure that he is playing smart. Oh god, he could just die here if this hunt goes north.
All right, so there's the charge now. We do see some attacks. We're going to see Servants fall back as well as ESCY. A good cask is going to bounce. There's the ulti from the Honey Badger, but there was no Maledict to assist it, so everybody will manage to get away. That said, UCLA pushed off of the lane with those Forged Spirits and the Impetus. They've got plenty of clear. They've got plenty of heal. This tower is essentially done for.
That went as well as it possibly could have for UCLA.
Yeah.
The gyrocopter could have easily died there if the Enchantress and Spectre had rotated in on him during that hunt instead of engaging into that mid fight. And then not only did the gyrocopter stay free and get some free farm up here, but also everybody disengaged from UCLA. So yeah, they didn't get kills. Yeah, they did lose a tower, but considering the deficit that they're playing at and the timeline that they're on, that was as good as they could have hoped for, I think.
Hey, big shout out to Mike22 over in Twitch chat. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. Glad to have you here, and thanks for coming in and cheerily saying hello. 1,500 gold to the advantage, 1,000 experience. Minnesota doesn't look like they're that far up on the paper, but it feels like they really are. They've got the momentum in their favor. Minnesota seems to be doing a really good job of sort of keeping the pace, rotating effectively, and making UCLA play on the back foot. I mean, UCLA stacked up in their jungle, protecting Servant Saber as they try to get that Desolator online.
Yeah, they desperately need it, and they desperately need it before the Spectre has Sacred Relic, which she's only 600, not
Right.
even 600 away.
I mean,
from.
Spectre is safely farming his entire jungle and a lane, whereas all they can really afford for the TA right now is to protect her at the Ancient stack. So it's just, it's unfortunate. It's just a really tough situation for UCLA to find themselves in, and it's only going to become a harder fight as this game moves forward.
And the fact that the TA needs to get this Desolator up fast so that she can open up space for the Gyrocopter means that the Gyrocopter wasn't able to take that stack himself and catch up. So his catch up will be slower as well. Now TA did go for a Midas, so if she's not being punished right now, or she'll make up that distance over time.
Well,
right? She's not an out of the gate sprinter if she grabs some Midas.
I often chat with you about the nature of the Gyrocopter. I think he's a unique hero because of his uptime, downtime sort of pattern.
Does this exact pattern right there.
And I really enjoy it. I think he's an interesting hero because of that. But that said, UCLA has not been able to benefit at all for the traditional sort of 12-minute uptime that Gyrocopter has, where he from, I would say 10 to 15-ish, he can be very, very strong and a bit of a bully in lane. He hasn't been able to utilize that at all against this lineup, which I think sets them even farther back. Now they're going to come forward to try and stop the assault on the bottom tower, and University of Minnesota will fall back and play safely, but they didn't seem like they were worried at all about an initiation there. They're just very comfortable with where they are as a team right now.
Yeah, and they are applying pressure. There's the Sacred Relic.
Oh,
the Courier's going to the secret shop now to pick it up, and then as soon as that's purchased, that's probably going to be an engagement. Spectre does have ultimate.
ESCY almost died, dodged the Sunstrike, will TP back to safety and should regen enough before Maledict goes off to save his life. But it was a good play by Witch Doctor in mid to save the middle tower and push them backwards. UCLA had to commit a lot. Basically, they had to bring people down to defend the bottom tower, whereas Witch Doctor was just sort of already there and took care of defending against two. So very nicely done.
Minnesota's looking for an engagement right now. They know the Relic is out. They have nothing to lose if the Spectre dies right now, and they just want to open up space to grab a kill.
And with that relic on, the damage from that ulti is just going to be so gosh darn strong. They absolutely want to take advantage of it before UCLA has time to react. So look at them hunting here, waiting for their chance to move on the agents. They know that it was being stacked. Now they're going to go ahead and they kill the creep that was stacking. So the guys from UCLA know that they were waiting by the agents. They're not going to send their TA down there right now. TMX keeps pushing the bottom lane very effectively here, using that Ion Shell to make sure that Spectre is always pushed under tower. Meanwhile, in the mid, the Forge Spirits will continue to push this lane forward. And Minnesota, it's an effective pick lineup. It's an effective push lineup. Valier's going to come forward on Tamerlane the Great. Can he take this risk? Tamerlane looks like she picked up drums right out of the gate. Can Gyro take her one-on-one right now?
Maybe. Depends on if she gets a haunt for one thing, and if she has Nature's Attendance available. Probably not.
Good ice path. TMX gets a big vacuum, but there was no wall. It was just a vacuum into a macro pyre. The damage is there. They wanted the Echo Slam. It catches two. Dump Hubs backs away. Ulti comes out from the Witch Doctor, putting up some serious damage. Both teams will disengage. Nobody dies. But UCLA spent a lot, I think, to get there.
Oh, look how low the Spectre is. She's been tanking creeps. That's why no hunt. That makes sense.
Well, that, and I think that
Probably,
once they saw the Echo Slam come in and they saw sort of the pattern that was being utilized there, the Macropyre go down, they figured, hey, we just forced alt burn. All we used was the Witch Doctors. Let's just pull off, regen, push, and then have the advantage in the next fight. So it's
TP waste there from the Darkseer. Zoning TP, classic zoning.
The zoning TP. The zoning TP that doesn't push them backwards is the sad one. Golden, by the way,
Radiance is
0.
almost up. Radiance is almost up. Now, I will say this is really going to be an issue here for UMN. As much as the Spectre is being allowed to farm without any sort of problem, right? The TA is being allowed to free farm as well, but TA also has a Midas.
Big vacuum into Macropyre. They make a big move. Tamerlane's going to go ahead and put up the attendance, has to make a run. Turn around and fire back from Bammon. Into the jungle they go. TMX realizes too far forward. He's got to fall backwards. Jewel Scepter comes out. Nicely done. In comes the Sunstrike. Everybody's throwing everything they got at TMO. He does not go down. The wall is still there. He's dropping low, but Tamerlane is just healing too gosh darn much. Help from Bammon, making it worse. They go with the long-range shot, and the guys again from UCLA, after burning everything that they had, all of their ultimates in that fight, come away with nothing. And due to the fact they have a walking fountain as a Witch Doctor and the Heals of Nature's attendants, all of a sudden UMN is ready to re-engage almost at full health.
Yeah, and Purifying Flames. I look at the difference of one Purifying Flame makes to Tamberlin the Great. It's about a quarter of her health overall, maybe a little bit more than a quarter of her health. For one Purifying Flame, that ends up being great. Enchantress is a great hero to pair with this, with really any healer, but especially somebody like an Oracle, just because Enchantress's effective HP is so high because of Untouchable and Nature's Attendance. It's not because her HP pool is great. So a little bit of heal goes much farther distance on Enchantress than it does on a standard hero. The same is true, by the way, for Spectre, who has Desolate to take away and strip off some of the damage as well. Her Radiance is done.
Sanjasha is almost finished up on Valier. He's gotten that on the top lane in the meantime with some free farm. And the bottom tower should go down here. They'll finish that off. And then I would imagine back away. Ice Path does come out. Camberlin, no, they want to make a move. They go. TPs are coming. Out they come. Big call down. Vacuum. Witch Doctor ultimate. Well placed. No stop on it. Tamberlin's got to run. Honey Badger still channeling the ultimate. It's hitting everybody. But Macropyre's got some work. Earthshaker goes down. Darkseer goes down. Jakiro goes down at the cost of an Oracle. That entire fight, Witch Doctor just stood there like the crazy Hunter Badger that he was, giving zero care about anything that happened around him and causing so much damage to UCLA.
You know, Honey Badger just don't give a shit. Is what it comes down to.
They
had no stuns left. They saved nothing to deal with the Witch Doctor channel. Had they been able to knock him out of that channel, that's an easy win of a fight into a team that has more farm. Like, that would have been a big turn moment. That could have very easily been the fight that we were looking back at 4 minutes, 5 minutes from now, and saying this is where UCLA started to take the game.
Well, when that fight broke out, the margin was 0. Gold was even. XP was actually in UCLA's favor for the first time in the game since the 2-minute mark. And now it's all the way, it's skyrocketed. They've doubled what they lost as UMN is now up 3,500. So that was a huge, huge win for them. And they also took out both of the towers there on that lane. So University of Minnesota doing a really good job. Now, that said, I will take nothing away from the fact that Valier has been able to really execute on finding farm during this time period. His team has been very supportive of trying to get him back online. He's got the Sanjasha. He's ready to fight. They're going to go on Invoker, but the wraparound is coming too far forward. They might find themselves in some trouble here. TMO's going to be the last man out, but here comes the Echo Slam from the high ground. They get a triple. It's a triple. It was a surprise. Now the chase is on. They want to go after Tamberlin. Nice ice wall to buy some space. Will it be enough? The ice path does hit. Valier on the follow. He's got his rocket up, but he's just too far back. Lots of damage coming from the barrage. Tamberlin dropping low. He's their main goal here. Lots of gold to be had if they kill him. He gets it. Beautiful. That's 4. They want to go for 5. This could be it. It looks like it. It looks like it could be a team wipe, baby, as University of Minnesota gets caught, rocked, and dropped by UCLA from the high ground, and a surprise Echo Slam that was just too strong to deny.
The fact that the Spectre fell in the back line to a surprise Desolator as well certainly did not help that situation. Spectre seems to be going for Diffusal Blade. No, Manta next, excuse me. So,
God, that was sexy. That was a hot fight. That was fun. Do that again, guys.
Yeah, no, it was good. And that fight just goes to show that 3,500 net worth at 25 minutes is not really a big deal. Like, we talk about net worth advantages and disadvantages. when you've got 3,500 net worth advantage and no experience advantage, really where you got to look to see who is in control of the game.
Right.
It comes down to who is picking the fights, because that's not enough at this stage in the game to really be that game-winning moment. The fact that UMN was not able to control the fight opportunities, and that UCLA were allowed to pick a fight that worked for them.
And I would even argue that UCLA, to a certain extent in that fight, didn't even pick a fight. They utilized the hubris of UMN trying to pick a fight to turn it around, and it worked out. Now we've got Oracle on the run, going to go ahead and try to stay alive, but they've got the stuns there in place. Hill will not get away from this one. He drops down. They ping the bottom tower, say, let's go push this. Meanwhile, up on top, Invoker said, all right, well, I'm going to get my Forge Spirits out and get a counter push. Oracle, you do your thing. So we will go a 1-for-1 on towers, but a nice pick here. And the gold lead, by the way, in the last minute and a half is swung 5,000. So the net worth has gone over a 5,000 gold swing. XP is massively in UCLA's corner. And honestly, I think XP, to a certain extent, in my opinion right now, is a little more important than even the gold. Like, this is a huge deal.
It's definitely a bigger deal.
That's massive.
The way you can tell which one is a bigger deal is by how many items does each team have, and it's about even. Both teams have 1 Midas. Both teams have 2 items on their primary core. Both teams have offlaners that have their first primary item as well, right? So they're about even. So the net worth disadvantage is not that big of a deal. But the experience, first of all, Invoker's a hugely experienced dependent hero, as is really Witch Doctor. So the fact that both of those heroes are playing from behind hurts pretty sufficiently.
All right, top tower did almost go down in the tier 2. They do manage to push him backwards. It will go down. Invoker destroys it with the Forge Spirit, so that's nice to see. He was able to get 2 towers out of that Oracle pick. That said, now they're going to go ahead and catch the Spectre who came too far forward. He's going to haunt to try and get away, but he cannot do it. He's got nowhere to jump to because he got so low so fast. That Desolator is incredibly strong. You said it was going to be a game changer, and it absolutely has been.
Oh, yeah. The second that Desolator came up, the UCLA were back in this game. And the fact that University of Minnesota were not applying as much pressure. Remember when I said over here that they're going to try and get a haunt gank? And then they engaged, but they didn't have Spectre with enough health to actually haunt in, and they ended up using a lot of ults and not getting any kills. That was the moment where they lost control of the pitter-patter of this game. They were no longer on the path they wanted to be on. They were on the path of least resistance into UCLA, and that has given a lot of opportunity. Remember, UCLA's team fight is just superior, basically across the board.
Right.
So for Minnesota to control the pace of the game, they need to be taking regular picks or surprise engagements.
And I definitely want to say UCLA doing a good job of knowing that they have a pace advantage right now and executing that, but not overcommitting. They're hanging back in the jungle. They're making sure that if anybody comes out after the TA, they have an answer for them. They want to utilize that credible team fight that you just brought up. And the guys from University of Minnesota, to their credit, also being very, very careful here, saying, all right, we may have to lose this tower. It's not the end of the world. Or is it? As we see a big jump in on Bammon. Bammon's got to go and try to get away. He does manage to survive, but that would guarantee that this tower drops down.
Yeah, this is the perfect time for UCLA to be engaging, because even though they don't have very much net worth, they're at the exact or very much net worth lead. They're at the exact window where that net worth lead is in terms of actionable items.
Yeah.
So they have a mechanism, their opponents don't have a mechanism. They have a BKB up now on the gyrocopter, whereas the Spectre is yet to finish the Manta, right? They are at a pretty decent stage for just utilizing what amounts to a very small net worth lead for very big effects.
So Gyrocopter obviously had a tough start, but he's now second on the net worth. TA putting in some serious work and making space. That Hand of Midas has actually worked out, paid off in dividends, if you want to put it that way, so far in this game, and they'll fall back to their jungle and just farm, because on the bottom lane, it looks like Invoker was able to continue to push forward, and no tower, but both lanes, top and bottom, are consistently taking turns getting pushed here. So is that what Invoker's job is now? Is he's going to just shift back and forth, try to get a little split, and buy time for Spectre to get more items?
As soon as he bought the Boots of Travel, now that he basically became relegated to Nature's Prophet Pusher, right? The Boots of Travel are not going to help him in any team fight.
Right.
They're not going to make him fast enough to outrun an Ice Path or a Fissure.
He can weave back and forth across his ice wall faster.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Loves that ice wall.
Opponents to run along the ice wall with very showy red boots, but Unless he's trying to get to Oz, they're not particularly good for team fighting. But they are good for the split pushing and helping to mitigate some of this net worth disadvantage. And since he's picked the boots to travel up, he has not, or his team has not been bleeding out quite as severely. So it has been working to that degree. The problem with that strategy is that if you're trading even with your opponents on towers and still not able to take team fights, then you lose. That's basically how the game works.
Sorry, I just got the pleasure of watching Valier spam ping ESCY because he blocked the creep spawn. They basically went to the high ground, and the entire team shifted away to let the spawn come up. And then ESCY just stood there. He was like, but I want to smoke, guys.
Monkey King Bar will be out here pretty soon on the Gyrocopter. They managed to kill Gyrocopter this fight. That could be pretty nice. How much unreliable gold? He's only got 300 unreliable gold, but it's still something. You know, stemming off that.
And they'll get a good chunk of gold because of how good he's been doing in this section of the game. It'd be very, very strong. That said, it looks like this is worst case scenario. They're going to find themselves an Invoker. I guess second worst case scenario is Spectre does manage to live through this. Stun is going to come out. Barrage to follow. Goes Invis, but they've got the vision. They've got the plan. UCLA was ready for it, and they're going to go ahead and mop up the Forge Spirits for some extra gold as well. And a good pick. Meanwhile, Spectre comes out, says, I got to farm. I got to try to stay out here. And he's going to come into the middle lane. We see a rotation now by Servant and ESCY, as it looks like they might want to take this engagement. And I can't blame them for that. They've got the Aegis. They've got the advantage.
Yeah, they also obviously have a dead Invoker on the other team.
Sorry, they just go down? Yeah, it did.
One big problem with this Invoker build is that he's on top of the net worth for his team, right? He's got like 1,400, 1,300 net worth. A lot of that net worth just doesn't impact his survivability or his combat skills. So he doesn't contribute anything, even though he's worth a ton of gold. Or he doesn't contribute anything in defensive fights, I should say. He has been splitting, as we've said, but that's basically all he's good for right now.
They put that effort
now that he has the Ags up, if he is a good switcher, he should be able to get some pretty nasty combos out. But had he gone into a more combat-oriented build, maybe these kills wouldn't hurt as much because he'd be returning them with kills as well. But he didn't. He opted to go for the pushing build, and that is just, it's money in the bank for UCLA.
Gold, by the way, for UCLA is almost up to 6,000. XP has crested 75 and is pushing up on 9. Actually 10 almost, and that's just been sort of the tail of the tape in this game. If we let's open up that stack chart here and take a look at just relative GPM. If you guys want to take a look at that, you can see what everybody's sitting on right now. And the Dire has done a great job of keeping themselves in this. Gyrocopter's up to a 544 GPM, which is absolutely exquisite after the start that he got.
Yeah, one thing that I do want to point out is that the later into the game you go, the less experience difference matters because A, once you hit level 16, it's just for stats anyway, and B, levels take more and more experience as you go, whereas gold, the items still cost the same amount all game. So the longer we go, the less that experience lead is going to matter, but we're at a point where it still is going to be functionally impacting the game.
Blair takes a fair amount of damage here. The Impetus putting in some work, but a nice stun from the Fissure makes sure that she can't close the gap. And that has been the difference for me in this game, is that between the Ice Path and the Fissure, Enchantress has had a hard time sort of managing the damage output that she did in the last game.
God, this Mantis style took forever for Spectre to get, and it is really hurting, especially since he does not have a Diffusal Blade yet.
Right.
And maybe won't build a Diffusal Blade at this point, I'm not sure, but doesn't have one right now, which would be really nice.
ESCY is going to get caught, but another max range Fissure tries to save him. Not going to happen. Spectre does burn the Haunt and comes in. They get the one kill off of it and will now back away. I'm not sure that was the Haunt worth it for one?
Yeah, it's better than holding on to the Haunt for the next 100 seconds and getting nobody, right?
Yeah.
They hadn't used it for several minutes, at least to any effect. So, yeah, blow it when you can blow it. If you can get a kill, great. They will get a tower off of it as well, although there is now a Monkey King bar in the Gyrocopter, so the Radiant's burn chances or miss chances no longer an issue, at least for that hero. And that's really the only hero that has to worry too much about it. For TA, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but... You know, for Gyrocopter is the big one.
So he will get himself, like you said, that MKB, and start to move forward with the rest of the team. Meanwhile, it looks like University of Minnesota is going to group up together here. And Invoker is definitely not split pushing as hard as he was earlier. Has to be a lot more careful.
Yeah, if he dies, he's feeding in so much gold. He's worth more than his Spectre is.
Right.
And that is by itself a big problem because Spectre has a Radiance, and Spectre got that Radiance fairly early and has not really been contributing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to smoke gank. They've got to wait 30 seconds before they engage because that's when the hunt will be up.
Right.
So I imagine they're going to take the really long way around and meet up with that Invoker just to buy time for that. Just to buy time for that Spectre to get that ult up. I think that's the right call.
Meanwhile, we're going to see Roche under attack by UCLA, so they figure let the top push go. We can get Roche down in time to defend the racks, and that's what they will do. Smoke is in the jungle as they sort of rotate around and go, okay, now we're going to try to get them on a rotation. If they come up here to pick the Invoker, and it looks like Darkseer may actually try to do that, they're going to go ahead and try to get a pick off. But Tiamu does a good job of not going into the jungle. This could backfire. Where did Pink go? I swear to God, I saw him there a second ago.
They're just going to defuse.
There you go. Backs away. Nicely done.
Good awareness from that gyrocopter. It looked like he was about to burn his Aegis just walking up.
He looked like he was about to go up there, right?
Yeah. They don't have wards or anything. Like, that was just... and the TA... They didn't have a TA trap around. Like, it was just good sense. So, well played. Coming out from UCLA.
Yep. I mean, they do have really good vision in their opponent's jungle here. They knew Invoker was on the top lane and had backed off. And I think you have to assume if you don't stop the Roche, and you're clearly not anywhere in this lower jungle area, chances are walking uphill on that stairwell is a bad idea. Though that comes down to in-game awareness. I can't tell you how many times you realize after you die, should have known that. But the difference between processing before and after is a big, big deal.
Yeah, and obviously there's no way to tell from here where the communication lies from UCLA, but it does feel like they are pinging more and coordinating a lot better this game than they did last game. I'm not sure if that's because they have their normal squad or what.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me because the ESCY is playing the 5 position here. And it wouldn't surprise me if he is their caller, or he's their rotation caller, or their shot caller during the match. And, you know, as well as I do, as well as most pros do, if you don't have your shot caller, the person you're used to sort of keeping the pace in the game, it can be very difficult for your team to sort of get their flow together. Even though the other 4 players, even if they're mechanically better. Nice play here. Jump in, goes on the Oracle back off, no big deal. Impetus though putting some damage on Servant Saber, high ground push, big vacuum into Macro Pyre, into Echo Slam, into death. Buyback now from the Enchantress. Villiers is going to come forward, taking a lot of damage. Wants to finish Honey Badger. Honey Badger will die. Valier is likely going to go down here to the tower, but he's got the Aegis. He don't care. He's going back up. They've got 3. The buyback is used on the Spectre. He's right back into the fray. Wants ESCY. Wants Servant Saber. Does manage to get that. Now he's up after ESCY. He's trying to juke into the trees. Wants to get away, but the right click will finish the job, and they go for 4. The buybacks pay off. I'm sorry. Make it 5. It's an ultra kill for the Spectre. Double buyback. I better open up the recap here. Buyback from Enchantress, buyback from Spectre, but he comes back in and massacres the entire team. Yeah. Did he get... what's the ultra kill? Is that 4 or 5?
He got 4 of those, I think.
Okay, so we got 4. That's, I mean,
4,
well worth the buyback.
Oracle got 1 of them.
They'll slug right down the mid lane, force a return buyback, and honestly, that turnaround is about as good as it could have gone for University of Minnesota.
I don't think the return buyback is enough here. Maybe it is, but they don't... Like, they are very cooldown dependent as a team.
That's
and
true.
They blew everything and didn't manage to get quite enough of the kills. Let's see.
Valier comes forward.
It's going to be enough to deter.
Chamberlain taking a lot of damage, so he's got to be careful.
He does have his heal, so those wisps will get him back up in lickety-split.
Meanwhile, Invoker being the consummate Dirk as he goes ahead and takes the bottom tower as they try to defend mid. That's what you love seeing out of a split pusher, right? Just really annoying people. He's going to go ahead. He throws Tornado, EMP, Meatball just to harass, keep them down the bottom as long as possible. Batman did get hit by the Ice Path, though. That could put him in a tough position. That Macro Pyre paying dividends, and Batman will walk away with the escort from Chamberlain, who will continue to keep the distance. Meanwhile, though, Invoker playing the split push gets the melee racks.
Yeah, this is trouble. I mean, they have a TA and a gyrocopter. UCLA can play into supers for a while.
It's still going. They want to move on. Bootylicious. Bootylicious is going to get caught out and go down. Nice blink play there on the meld strike to put some serious damage, and you will see that force Minnesota to fall backwards, but not before they got an awful lot for their trouble. And we'll take a look at the swing there. Is the gold in the XP swing was massive, back and forth. It's like watching an EKG in an emergency room. It's just up and down this game, back and forth. Who's in control? It's hard to tell. Tornado's going to come out. EMP combo goes on the Earthshaker. If they hadn't nerfed that combo, that'd be a dead ES right now.
Yeah, the Octarine on the Invoker is still very strong at this stage in the game.
Well, I think
even with the sufficient nerfs that he's been taking over the course of this patch. I mean, this is a hero whose late game potential is almost uncappable just because of the great diversity that he brings. Especially the later in the game you go, the less likely it is that your opponents can afford the inventory spots to carry vision. So all of a sudden your Ghost Walk becomes that much better. He's going to get a quick kill here. Wow. No big deal.
Well, he's also a hero.
Cold Snap is great too.
A split pushing Invoker at 25 is another hero who really benefits from a second courier carrying alternative items, right? Because he has so much build functionality that he can say, all right, when I split push, I'm going to utilize this, but I've got the gold, so I'm going to pick up another item for team fighting should it come to that. And I think that they may have a hard time.
We don't usually see that just because
this is the CXL
Invoker's items tend to be pretty expensive.
Give it time.
Well, he's got some time. Look, he's faster than this missile. Faster, 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 faster. Sonic. Run, buddy. There we go. And then he dodges it. Wow. What a player. Yeah, Invoker is pretty ridiculous at this stage in the game. Like
level 21, doing well. Midas is starting to pay off. Goldine has been pulled back almost to 0. Minnesota definitely on the front foot here. UCLA, crazy how they had the advantage, how they had the rhythm, and then all of a sudden, just off of one turnaround and 2 buybacks, they're now back to, all right, we got to find the right position. We can't get out of place and have to play very carefully. I'm worried about Velier here, who's been playing very far forward in this game. Yes, he's got that BKB. Yes, he's got some great items, but that will not protect you from a quality Minnesota Golden Gophers gank, which they've been doing very well in this game.
Well, we've been saying it all game, right? That ever since the draft, UCLA, if they execute their combo well, they win. And if they don't execute their combo basically perfectly, then they lose because they don't have the team dynamic to go up against what UMN are bringing. So they have to find the strength in themselves, and their coordination has to be spot on. For a little while there in the mid game, they were just absolutely nailing those combos. And even on the high ground, it was a little sloppy moving into UMN's high ground, but it was okay. They didn't prepare for the buybacks, though. As soon as those buybacks came out, it should have been back out, take your victory, and come back to fight another day. I think UCLA just got a bit too cocky, really, is what it comes down to.
The attack range with the Scepter up always blows my mind to watch the animation.
For the impetus?
Yeah.
You know.
It's just insane. Like, he used it on the creeps, and I was like, what? It's just crazy. That's just crazy talk. I don't know if you play XCOM or not, but there's a sniper in XCOM, and he's got a skill where he can shoot anything that his buddies can see on the map, basically. So it gives him this massive range. And I feel like that's something you see with the impetus and the way that this is being played right now at the Ags is she can just hide in the trees halfway across the map, it feels like, and as long as somebody has vision on an opponent like the Spectre, she can just go ahead and chuck impetus shots.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as 684 Sniper.
That's
right?
true.
I mean,
Fair point.
That range is still better, but it's a lot of damage to be getting hit from the trees, Viet Cong style. Yeah, you're right. And also the fact that the farther it travels, the more damage it does. When you have that item, it implicitly adds damage to your attack. So once she hits level 3, most of her attacks are going to be doing 625 pure damage on top of whatever natural damage she has, which is not something to shrug off either.
Gotcha.
So once she gets up to that level 3 impetus, if she is hanging around the edge of the fight, there's nary a hero on UCLA that can survive more than 4 attacks from her.
She is only level 15, though.
I think it's just the gyrocopter who and the TA, who maybe with refraction, who could stand up to that kind of impetus damage.
Why is she so much lower in level? Has she been dying first in these fights?
I think that she hasn't been around for some of the kills in the fights, and also she just kind of got shoved out of that off lane after a certain point.
That's true. Still, though,
she's been trying to play catch up for a while.
In a 22-core game is pretty tough. So
she is ahead of the Darkseer. I mean, keep that in mind.
She's
For an offlaner, she's doing okay. Especially an offlaner that doesn't have like boots of travel or anything. Like the Invoker is high level, but he has boots of travel. He has a Midas, right?
Invoker gonna go ahead and use the Yules to defend himself. Thinks about going back in. Nice ice path to buy some space. Turns back, wants to put some damage on Valier. He's got the cold snap up, but here comes Tiamu. They grab him up. He's gonna get pulled backwards. Pops the Ghost Scepter, dies for the trees. Wants to go invisible. Do they have the vision? Doesn't matter. They've got the Echo Slam. They utilize it to lock him in place, but he'll still get away. Ruh-roh. They got to get this kill.
Yeah,
they invested the Echo Slam. They have to get this kill. They were losing the range racks in the meantime. He's just
I
kiting.
mean, they have a general idea of where he is, but they don't have any way to see him without the Earthshaker being willing to engage. Earthshaker does have a gem, so if Earthshaker's willing to engage, they could maybe get the kill, but he would probably sacrifice himself for it.
Well, they had to fall back because they saw the range racks go down in that time and realized Invoker was just kiting and said, you know what? At this stage of the game, like, if you're willing to give me the space, that's fine. Meanwhile, though, they do get the Orc, they do get the Invoker, they got the Oracle on the turnaround. Now they're going to try and chase out the retreat. Timberland is going to make a run for it. Honey Badger goes invis. He should be able to TP away with no problem. And the dewarding game will start. So University of Minnesota gets a Rax, but loses a lot of gold off of yielding that Invoker. Do you see get the last hit on the Invoker?
No, but I can check.
It was TA.
Yeah.
So TA with a nice boost. I would assume we'll see. Yeah, so she's got Daedalus, Desolator, MKB, BKB with a 9-second duration, and a Blink Dagger as a quick update for her soon-to-be 6-slotted life.
This is a really big Roche. If Radiant got that Aegis,
yeah,
just looking at the stats, I haven't done this test in quite a while. I think these stats come from like every pro Dota game up until 6.84, 6.85 or something. But I did do some Aegis stats, and if Radiant managed to contest Aegis, especially later in the game, their win rate skyrockets. For Dire, getting all of the Aegises is a much better indicator of victory than it is for Radiant. Right. So it's really important for Dire to not be giving that up, because the amount of map control that you can bounce from is much easier to utilize for the Radiant side. So they're already on their opponent's side.
All right, gold is only 2,500 to UCLA. They do have an experience advantage, but that doesn't mean, as we've talked about, as much at this stage of the game. The Invoker split push has been very effective. He is back up. Everyone from Minnesota back up and running. The Aegis is available, or it is up, I should say, not available, and that is on the TA, I believe. That was not a cheese. Oh, it was a cheese. So that was a cheese Roche. Darkseid will pick it up, and I would presume carry it and potentially hand it over should it be needed when the Aegis goes down.
They are going to group. It looks like they do have all of their ults up, so they nailed the combo. They win the game, basically, is where we are. They don't nail the combo. Maybe they don't lose the game. Let's see what the buyback status is. Actually, there are a lot of buybacks for Radiant. Spectre has a buyback again. So nail combo maybe force buybacks, but they might also have to back out after that as well. It's really dangerous to engage into this, because if you kill the Spectre, but you do not force out the Haunt before the Spectre dies, then it's tremendously easy to just overinvest, climb up onto that high ground to try and get the rest of the heroes, buy back Haunt, and then your whole team's dead. We saw it earlier. It's exactly what happened. You do have to worry about that.
So Spectre's got the Talisman of Evasion. I presume that is for the Gyrocopter Halberd, or what's he going to go with that to?
For the Talisman of Evasion, he's going into the Butterfly.
So
I don't know why.
Right, I guess that's my question. I'm trying to figure
bar,
out why you get a Butterfly into 2 MKBs, and I thought, well,
I don't know why
he's
not going into Diffusal.
Gotcha.
To be honest.
Well, I thought maybe he's trying to justify a Halberd for the one-on-ones he's been getting caught in, or something like that. But the Butterfly, I just don't know, because both of the heroes he'd want to go head-to-head with, it's not going to affect either of them.
He could either go into Diffusal, which would be a lot of physical damage up against these squishier supports, or he could go into a Monkey King bar to deal with the Butterfly from the Gyrocopter. But now he's changed his mind. He's going into a Plate Mail, so maybe an AC coming out. This Spectre doesn't really seem to know what he wants.
Goldie 2,500, by the way. XP at 6. And Invoker doing a ton of farms. Got that Ethereal Blade, like you said. And where does he go next?
Cheap Sick.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sells the...
Well, where he may go next is back to the Ancients at this rate. We do see him come in. They've got the Vision. They've got the Gem. Yule Scepter to buy some space. Goes invis on the run. Vacuum used. Pulls him back. Dead Invoker. It's a pretty good pick.
He
for
knew
them.
they had that gem because
Yeah.
they tried to engage with it before. That was eccentric and overconfident from him.
Yeah.
And it may cost him the game. It probably won't because he does have buyback. But if he buys back and then dies in this fight, that could very arguably be seen as the game losing moment. So fingers crossed on his behalf that something good happens here.
UCLA getting ready to go. Gyrocopter setting up to go bombs deep into this base. Heads up to the high ground. They want to try to push it while the Invoker's down, or at least force the buyback. TA goes up, gets a couple right clicks going. Guess they're going to put some serious damage on that tower, and it looks like they are going to glyph and try to buy some time to not spend the Invoker buyback if it is at all possible. And it may just work, as they do have a lot of wave clear between the Radiance and everything else. And they will sort of push everybody back. Servants comes through. He takes a lot of damage from the refraction. Drops down. Ulti, he may actually die. No, Maledict wasn't up in time. So they'll use the Witch Doctor ulti to push backwards. They save the tower, and they save the buyback, more importantly, I think, from the Invoker. So,
Oh,
not too
wow.
shabby.
Look, the TA is going to get the cheese used. They're going to smoke, and Aegis is still available on the TA as well. So full health team. Combo is available. Everything except the Earthshaker ult. Under smoke.
Bomb goes down. They want Spectre to come off of the high ground. He's going to get stunned below the stairs, but they can't engage into it. Smoke is still up. They're trying to bait here. Servant Spare comes forward. They may buy it. They're going to bite. They're going to bite.
No.
Okay.
They're gonna bail. So well, as soon as the TA was seen from that smoke, and also the Aegis being about to expire, that made that a really bad fight for UCLA to take.
Big push.
I with the Aegis about to expire, I have no idea why they decided to use the cheese to give the TA full health instead of just having her die to neutrals.
All right, they're going to push forward, continuing here. They've got
Or
everybody.
just waiting for the Aegis to expire, I guess you could do too.
Everybody
It was
forward.
weird. They basically wasted a cheese there for no apparent reason.
Oh, because he.
I don't know. Maybe I'm lingering on this point too much. I like, cheese is good. You should eat cheese with care.
Cheese is delicious with a nice cheese knife.
Cheese. I like a good brie,
All right, now we're going to see Invoker is going to fall backwards. We've got 5 in the mid, 5 on defense. Both teams staring each other across the abyss. The Aegis is not out. The cheese is now down. This is a straight-up street fight brewing, with UCLA going to be holding the high as much as they possibly can. Top lane is not pushed. They don't have to stress about that Invoker split that they saw last time around, unless he decides to just go up there and pull it forward. And it does look like Spectre says, all right, I'm going to go get the lane skipped. You guys stay safe. I can haunt back in if needed. So he will head down there to where the lane is. In fact, Invoker jumped down there as too, and they said, we're going to need the split. That's it. They got to be careful here. They moved. 1 shot, 2 shot, dead. Oracle. Now it's going to be Tamerlan. He gets stunned. He's probably going to go down here as well, and this could be the game. They didn't get the memo on the retreat. Invoker TP'd away with his boots, and the second it happened, UCLA smelled blood in the water and jumped.
Buyback for both of those heroes is available. So, and it's not as big of a deal if like Oracle buys back and dies again, as long as he gets his core spells off. What is the big deal is if you don't have any damage in your fight because your cores are buying and dying back. Wow, the synchronized buyback, that was some Olympic style swimming pool shit right there. I'm not sure why they engaged that too early, I think.
Yeah, a little tilty, I feel.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people underestimate the fact that
All right, now
when
they're going to
you buy
move.
back-
They're trying to slow TA.
Yeah.
Nice blink. Sorry, go ahead. Underestimate that.
when they underestimate the impact of when you buy back, it adds to your respawn time after you die again, right? So you do want to hold that out as long as you can, because if you do die back, or even if you die before a fight next time, even if you don't die for 6 minutes and you have buyback again, you're just adding on time to your timer the next time that you can't buy back, right? So
Right.
if you can save 5 seconds for the next time, then you should save 5 seconds for the next time. There's no reason to rush it.
Let's see. Invoker's sitting on 6,000 gold, so he's got a surplus of 4 here, so we should see something finished up here relatively soon. I would assume the Midas disappear and the Hex Stick come out in the near future. Let's see. UCLA out in force with 5. We've got the guys from Minnesota grouping up down in their jungle as well. Meanwhile, Invoker going to try to keep all these lanes pushed forward so that if anything does go wrong, they have a little bit of time to plan their counter. Golden XP is irrelevant at this point. I say Golden XP is close enough to be completely irrelevant to me at this point in the game.
Completely irrelevant. Yeah, experience honestly pretty irrelevant as well.
Abyssal Blade.
Yeah, this is just a close game. Spectre is a very good late game carry, but so is Gyrocopter and TA. There are illusions coming out, which makes TA's life slightly harder because the side blades don't go through illusions. Once they hit illusions, they stop. But there's not a lot of illusions, to be honest. I'm first of all surprised that the Ghost Scepter has not been replaced by a Sheepstick yet.
All right, so this is what
he
happened.
decided to go Ethereal Blade first.
Invoker did this last time and got himself caught out, so he's got to be careful here.
He's getting ready for it again. Yep. Right on top of a Zytrap. He's going to try to get away. He will get away.
Yeah, they didn't have any vision there.
I don't understand the Ethereal Blade rush. Can you? Does that make sense to you? It does not make sense to me.
You're talking about the Invoker?
Yeah.
No. A, I'm not an Invoker player. B, I don't feel like he has the additional damage output. I don't know. Maybe he was planning a different build initially. Maybe he thought he'd do something cheeky with...
Well, he just got it recently. It was like one of his later items. And I do understand that it helps to mitigate the Templar Assassin. And to some degree, the Gyrocopter as well. But his team just doesn't have the magical burst to really follow it up. I mean, he personally kind of does. But I don't know that that's better than being able to say, hey, TA, guess what? You can't do anything for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a much better ability to have.
Yeah, I think that he got it because right now, every time that he's been moved in on the split push, it's been by physical damage heroes who come in with a strong right click. And I think that that's his answer to sort of make sure that he has the time he needs to get away should it come to that. The itemization in this game has been kind of weird. The AC makes sense-ish for the Spectre. I mean, it doesn't make sense-ish. It makes sense for the Spectre. I'm just not... Now, wow! Spectre finally going for Diffusal Blade. Last item Diffusal Blade on the Spectre. I don't even know if it's worth it at this point. You might just want to get more damage because the mana pools are so large that they're still going to get their combos off. Their health pools are large enough, and they're, for the most part, armor is high enough that the Diffusal Blade isn't going to do that much damage. And yes, I feel weird arguing against the Diffusal Blade now because I spent so long talking about how she should get a goddamn Diffusal Blade, but just go into Monkey King Bar at this point, really. Deal with the Gyrocopter, right? You gotta. Or maybe get an Abyssal. Invoker's caught on all sides. They want to make the close on him. He's going to go invis, but in comes Earthspraker from behind. He's going to get in range. He gets the stun up. He's brought the gem. This is going to be a very dead Invoker. That's not great. Meanwhile, though, I guess it bought space, right? He's stalling. He's buying time. He yields Scepters. And this time around, Minnesota gets to deny the Roche if they move a little bit faster here.
A little faster, please. Yeah.
A little bit faster now. Uh-oh. TPs are coming in. Boots of Travel. They want to try to take the fight. They know they're in there. In comes the Vision. He pops it. There's the ulti. Big vacuum. Big wall. Everything is unraveling fast now. They lose 1. They're going to make the chase. A double stun comes out from the Earthshaker. That'll make it 2. Tabril is here in some trouble. He's going to drop down pretty low. He will end up going down as well, and that makes it a triple. Meanwhile, inside is the Desperation finish. Invoker going to try to buy some space. Ice Path slows down. Surface Terror taking some damage. Roche drops to the... Look at him. He's throwing things down. He's buying cheese. He heals back up to full. He gets the Aegis out. Throws down the dagger. Wants to come to fight. TMX is his first target. Starts to drop low, but he's taking so much damage from everybody. TMX somehow survives. It's a massacre all over the place. The gem does drop down. Spectre's going to find it, but he walks into an ice path. The turnaround. Gem back on the ground. Aegis has popped. Billy Air taking some damage. Invoker putting in work from the high. They turn it back. They get Billy Air. Now they're thinking about going after ESC. Why? He does. The Yule's worked. He's going to be able to get the kill. Sunstrike to finish. He doesn't even stick around to right-click it.
fight was so stupid
What?
it upset my dog.
What?
And my dog is trying to console me right now. What happened there?
I don't even.
How did they let the Spectre finish that? I don't understand.
I didn't even know how to call it because it was so true.
Like, that should have been UCLA's moment. There's no reason UMN should have been able to get that Aegis without negative armor. 100% of their negative armor is assault cuirass.
I mean, to put it in perspective,
58 minutes, Roche's armor is insane.
Aegis goes down. All right, after he spent 20 minutes killing the thing while the fight's going on, Aegis goes down. Spectre has enough time to put his Manta style on the ground, pick up the cheese, eat the cheese, pick up the Manta style again, and then go out and fight.
Yeah. And then they won the fight, and buybacks are here. So
Buybacks?
force a buyback from the gyrocopter as well.
So that's great. He's not going to have that next time around. They're still continuing the push. They did, I think, have to use the Invoker buyback, however, to get that up and running and make that happen, but it was well worth it at the end of the game. Big vacuum, in they go, huge wall, this could be it, Echo Slam, they've already lost 2, and the run is on as they continue to play. In comes Invoker, though, he came from the backside, puts down the meatball, the damage is there, Impetus killing, Serpent Saber, he's gonna drop down, but here comes Valier, he's got a call down, wants to try to finish the Invoker gonna be on the run, Spectre comes in now, he wants Valier, he's putting in some serious work, Spectre has the buyback, this could be the end of the game, Valier is gonna go down, but so is the Spectre can come back into the fight if he wants to. He doesn't have hot, so he can't get back into this. They're gonna force Surface Saber back. Invoker putting in some serious work. Gets stunned now from dumb pubs. Surface Saber taking tons of shots from Impetus. He's gonna go invis, try to get out of this one, runs right through the wall, doesn't even care. Invoker goes to the high ground, wants to keep the play going, uses the Yules to buy some space. Impetus back in play. Jump forward by Earthshaker. The Ghost Scepter works out there, saves a life of the Invoker, and now he's got to make the run. EMP comes out, Invoker very low, he turns back. They're playing the margins. They're playing like madmen. 3 end up going down. They lose the Spectre, but at the ability to take plenty of damage. The tower is gone. The melee racks will go down here.
Would just buy boots of travel, this game the GG would default. Like, he has the ability to do that, I think.
Sell.
56, 36. Yeah, he 100% could do it. It's probably GG anyway, but he wants to save it.
He wants to save it just to make sure that if the worst happens, it is what it is. Meanwhile, Invoker, I mean, they got the melee racks, they got the range racks. Invoker somehow lived through that debacle of a fight, and well, what an
for UCLA, this has got to be
devastating.
The moment where they see, like, they look in the mirror and they realize that they've aged 40 years.
It's their Black Swan moment, huh? I don't know. I never watched the movie, but there's a moment where she looks in the mirror, right, and sees herself all like effed up.
Oh boy, I don't even know what
the Benjamin Button moment, the Obama moment, because that guy aged like 40 years while he was in office. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. That was a Dorian Gray thing that I was doing. I don't know what you're going on about. I feel like we are on different literary paths, my friend.
Well, that's because you insist on reading that drivel that was written around the turn of the century. I prefer Star Wars novels myself.
Hey, Greg Bear can pump out some pretty good Star Wars novels.
Actually, the new stuff they're writing is really good.
Me.
All right, so
I don't have an unbiased opinion on that.
Ruh-roh. TA goes head to head. We're gonna see Yule 1, Yule 2. Now we're gonna get a nice ice path. In comes the combo. They're trying to make a move. Call down comes up. Honey Badger will get left behind. He's gonna die. Big pullback on the vacuum, but the wall's gonna miss. Everybody on the run. Lots of damage coming out from the Enchantress. Comes forward, goes Servant Saber. He wants to play. Invoker not interested in walking away, putting up some serious work. Servant Saber gonna go down. That's 2, and the chase is on. Spectre is here. He wants Valier. Valier's gonna get caught, slowed, rocked, dropped, putting up as much damage as he can, but it is not enough. He is gonna end up falling, and that will more than likely be the game. Tuamik's going to be caught inside some trouble here. The GG comes out. UCLA, who we thought was going to take this match, who had the advantage on the way to the playoffs, drops a double to University of Minnesota. The underdogs, the guys who, if they lost this game, had no chance of winning the wild card, win this one, rip it away, and they get a ride to the playoffs. They get a chance to start from scratch, basically waive their record that was mediocre at the start of this second half of the season. And if they play like this, if they play well, they've got a shot at DreamHack, and I'm excited to see it happen. Guys, my name is Toffees. You can follow me at Toffees TV over on Twitter. I'm joined by Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find him at the Wonder Cow. You can find all of us at C Star League. Don't forget, a big shout out to our sponsors, Twitch and Asus Republican Gamers. Asus is not only paying for the prize pool and travel, they are also giving away a laptop and 2 brand new monitors on cstarleague.com, so check those out. Gorgon, any last thoughts before we sign out for the night?
Really entertaining game too. So thanks,
actually,
teams.
Yeah, you listen to me cast. I get hyped, but I don't usually get like crazy hyped where I'm just out of like I don't know what the hell's going on. This is super tons of fun. That game really was. Like the stuff that we saw I've never seen before. Some of it was clowny, some of it was amazing, but all of it was a heck of a lot of fun, and that's what you get from Collegiate Dota. We appreciate you guys watching. We know that there is the majors going on right now. We know that the Republican debates are going on. We know that you might be watching the big wave replay from the surf competition in Hawaii right now. We know that there's a lot to take your attention away, but we appreciate you choosing to spend your evening with CSL. If you're watching us on the VODs, we appreciate you for coming around after the fact because you guys are what makes this happen. Have a wonderful evening. Play more Dota, and as always, Toffee's out.
I've got this space inside my heart, and I need you to patch me up. I feel lost, I feel lost. Will you be my love? 'Cause I need you.